Sara Weiss, welcome to the Conquering Everest podcast. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brian. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Good. I set that timer, that 1 minute timer for us to just gives me a chance to make sure everything's streaming, and that's barely enough time. I was madman clicking here trying to make sure. Yeah, but we are live. We are live. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV. So hopefully we'll get some folks joining us here soon. But in the meantime, we will have some listeners as this thing goes into podcast mode in the next few days. If you'd like, why don't we start by just giving the audience a little bit of history, drop a little knowledge about who Sara Weiss is.
Awesome. Well, while that countdown went on, I was thinking, do I mess up my hair? Do I come back? For those who don't know, the way we met was actually in a Facebook group where I go live every day, and I start every live with my hair all messed up, and I say, this is your daily reminder to just show up. Don't worry about being perfect, and don't worry about everyone who's going to judge you. They're going to judge you anyway. So that's how me and Brian met. And I shared a little bit about my story, and he was like, we need to connect. So I'm really happy to finally connect here and be able to share my story, which is unique to most people, but I love that about everyone. Everyone's got a story. Mine includes a lot of ups and downs. Like everyone, I had a childhood where I didn't have much of an income family. We were a low middle class family. Didn't have much of the same things that a lot of the kids I knew had, like the new shoes and the new clothes. Ours was like thrift shop stuff. And I grew up in that and without a dad. And my mom had a boyfriend who was very abusive for 11 years. I was abused, all that stuff, verbally abused, sometimes physically abused. And so what? that's childhood. Right? So we got past that. I got through that. But what happened in my life was I spent a lot of years hiding something from the world that really was hard for me to handle. And I wore a mask, and I basically lived a lie for 26 years and kind of played up this persona, created this image of who I thought people wanted me to be based on my experience in society and all this BS, basically. And eventually I said, I was folding under the pressure of, hiding who I truly was, to the point where I was starting to live angry. I was losing who I was. I was not this positive, happy person. Living a lie means I can't truly connect with people. That was driving me nuts. I couldn't have true connections with people. So eventually I told the world that I didn't identify with the gender that I was born in. And of course, that caused an uproar, because at that point in my life, everything on the outside of me seemed perfect. I was 26 years old, owned a home since I was 21. I had a business I ran since I was 22. I had a family and 2 children, the picture perfect life, but the inside was a mess. And, I told the world, and everyone turned their back on me, except for my family, my close family, and people who didn't really know me that were kind of friends of mine, but all my close friends turned their back on me, and I went into deep victim mode. Everyone is against me. The world's against me. I was so trapped in this negative victim mode mentality, and it took me a little while to get out of it. And thank goodness for that, because I went to some pretty deep lows in that mode, especially as a single mother of 2. My ex was an alcoholic and into drugs, so I ended up with full custody, thank goodness, because I had to fight for them. And I was in such a deep depression at one point that I wanted to end my life. I was in a townhome just above ghetto, had a bed bug infestation. I was like a very broken version of myself that wanted more. Like, I wanted more for my life. I wanted some freedom. I wanted to be a better role model for my children. I wanted to show them that you can get through anything. And I wanted to be that tough, like, I will overcome and find victory role model for them. And it was really hard to get to that point. And I really had to get to such a point of vulnerability and being fed up with being fed up that I got to this point where it's like, I need help. I need to get help. I need guidance. And I know a lot of people can relate, where it's really hard to get help. That's like admitting your weakness. It's really hard to do that. And I did it. And I found a mentor who helped give me some guidance and change my mindset and help me get back into my gratitude, help me see the world from, what purpose I want to live in instead of just the desires. And I started to change my life by changing how I thought. And my mindset shifted my whole world, which has led to me becoming a high impact success coach, creating coaching programs, group coaching, one-on-one coaching. I'm a #1 best-selling author twice. I'm a master distributor in a crypto mining network marketing company. I'm a founder of this and that, and I'm actually launching my own network marketing company to do with a coaching practice that I've created that shortcuts people to massive breakthroughs. So that is, in a nutshell, point A to point B where I'm at right now, and there's so much happening, so much growth still to be had. So it's an incredible journey.
Yeah, it definitely seems, as I've followed you in the Facebook group and watched your live streams. First of all, I love when you say, and I probably won't get it exactly right, but let them judge. They're going to judge you anyways, or let them judge you how you are. I love that because it's so true, and I can relate to your story as I can many other people's stories. From childhood, you're kind of born pure and everything's new and you're learning and it's this massive intaking of your surroundings. But then at some point in your life, you start to be groomed to meet expectation of others, whether it could be your parents, friends. I mean, we lose our innocence, so to speak, and in the wonderment of the world, and we start following a script. What was childhood like for you? Like, I'm guessing as a young child, you weren't thinking you're going to be this, massively successful coach or having these programs. What was your dream as a child? Did you have I'm going to be this when I grow up moment?
It's funny. I lived in the stars. In the stars. When I was a kid, I recognized pretty early on that the way I thought was different. And I knew I had to hide who I was pretty early on. I could tell, like, even as a young kid, I saw how society, paints a picture of a boy and a girl and what your gender roles and stuff like that. So I knew that, but I wasn't so aware that it affected my whole life. It was more just like, oh, there's this thing, I'll grow out of it. I actually, even as a young girl, like, I was like, I'll grow out of it. But what I really I wanted to play in the stars. I always loved looking at the stars. I wanted to be like an astronomer, astrologer, or anything to do with the stars, really, which, then led to me being really interested in like quantum physics and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So that was like the original dream, was to play in the stars.
That's cool. Have it, because for me that didn't come for many years. I don't think I knew as a kid what I really wanted to be. I had such a great imagination though, and I wish I could have half of that imagination that I had as a kid nowadays, because I just lived life on my own terms for a long time, and that's great. You talked about being in an abusive situation, and I was in a dysfunctional, I'll say toxic, probably could border on abusive, but which led to me getting out of the house at a pretty young age. What did you say? Your mom had a boyfriend that was doesn't sound like he was a real nice guy. Was this in your teen years or earlier on?
So when I turned 11, so from 11 till 21, she was with him. I was out of the house by 17. I ended up going out west working on oil rigs at age 19, coming back home, living on people's couches. And I ended up, so let's be real, I started growing pot because I knew how to, and I did it, and I earned a bit of money, and then I bought a house, and then I stopped growing pot. I literally did it just to be able to change my life, and I did.
Yeah.
I bought a house, and I started a business, started a landscaping company because it seemed like the most masculine thing to do, to put up the front. I lived a life where, in those 11 years, I was abused verbally. It was like a verbal assault every day, being called every name in the book because I left a dish in the sink or something. Something is so stupid. It was always an eggshell existence, this tiptoeing on eggshells, and some physical abuse. And, it came to the point where when I was 21 and I, had just moved into my new house. My mom had to get away from him, came to my house, and he was drunk or high or something or both or whatever, and ended up coming to my house, barging in and starting to get physical with my mom. And I was seeing red. And and this he's a biker. He's like a big, thick, burly biker guy with a Harley Davidson and stuff. And I beat the living shit out of him. Years, 11 years. It's funny saying this. It's really weird saying, because that's not me. That's not who I am. But in that different lifetime, it was a very different world. And that was 11 years of pent up stress, abuse, and a lot of things. So I ended up seeing black, and I blacked out, and I opened my eyes on top of him, on his chest. It was a very graphic scene, and glad I don't live that life.
Yeah, well, and some people deserve it, and they need it. I don't condone violence, but hey, I'd be lying too if I didn't say that there was times in my life where that unfortunately it just comes into play, and sometimes. You're limited, especially if somebody's closed-minded and they don't want to hear what you have to say or understand why you feel a certain way. Was a lot of that abuse towards how you identified, or was it just random?
At that point, nobody knew. Nobody knew. Right. So it was all just crap. It was stupid. It made no sense. Like I look back on it, it's like, why obviously he was going through a lot of pain from his past childhood and existence. Like if I were to coach him, that would be very interesting to even think of coaching him and his mentality and stuff. And as a coach, you get deep on some people's existences and their pasts and stuff like that. And it's interesting to see that a lot of people have the same triggers, the same things that bring up past abuse, past traumas. So I look back now and it's like, I can't imagine the traumas and abuse that he went through to be that person. Right.
You said it was, you were 23 when you decided that 26 when you decided that it was time to change up and be true to yourself. How did, and you said a lot of people, they moved away from you at that time when you decided to be who you felt you were. It's hard for me because I didn't face those same ridicules. Now I may have been. I was always overweight, so weight was kind of my thing, right? That was the focus on.
We all got a thing.
All the bullying and that especially as a young child, but. How did that impact you? Like knowing that maybe you're wearing that mask, you're living with a mask. How did that impact you as far as like decision making? Because to me, it feels like I would be so torn between two people that I couldn't focus on my future or who I was to become. Because I think just kind of living it through your words, I feel like I would be totally lost to who I was or what I wanted to be. Was that what it was like for you as a teen and early 20s?
Yeah. So like I distracted myself with big ambitions and goals, but all day, 24/7, 365 in my mind, I was questioning my sanity because what I was imagining and visualizing was me developing a different life than I was living, representing, identifying, expressing the way I truly felt instead of playing a role all day long. It's exhausting. It exhausted the heck out of me to be this actress in a play all my life. And every single thing every situation, every word that was said to me, every word I had to say would come with a calculation. What do I say? How do I say it? Make sure I don't incriminate myself and be who this person expects me to be. So my mind never stopped. It was going nonstop to keep me either to keep me aligned with the persona I was living, or when there was no one around, it was going with who I knew I should be, but wasn't allowing myself to. I denied and suppressed who I was. So it was exhausting, very, very exhausting. And I distracted it with working, going hard, trying to build and create and just, I thought I was distracting myself from it, but it never went away. It only got more and more prevalent in my mind.
Right. Did you find that, did you have a breaking point? And when I say, because it sounds like you turn to work or you turn to your ambitions to really kind of push back what was bothering you. Did you find that there was just a point where you were done? Like you couldn't move forward anymore. Like you were just too exhausted.
Well, I was married. Yeah, I was married to a woman, and I should never have been with a woman. I did that as part of a front. So I was living a lie in every aspect of my life. It was a lie everywhere. And I started to finally buckle under the frustration of it. And I was starting, and I've always been a very bubbly, happy, positive, outgoing, social person. I was a popular person. After going through being teased as a kid and all this, finding my place, I created like the perfect persona for someone who would be popular. It wasn't me though. It was me playing a role, and it worked. It worked really good. I fooled a lot of people. And I ended up turning into a very angry person because I was so frustrated. I was having a really hard time keeping my sanity. I thought I was, I asked myself, what the F is wrong with me? About 50 to 100 times a day. Begging God to take away whatever curse he had given me. And I'm not religious, but I still said God. And I believe there is a God. I don't know what it means and all that stuff, but I would look up and I would just be like, please just fix me. I'm broken, fix me.
Yeah.
And
So did you find yourself and I don't know, as I hear people tell their stories, it's just different things connect with me so much. And I had that moment too. And I suffered a deep depression, and I avoided it and I masked it and I medicated it with relationships. And, and it was an ongoing battle for a long time. And it was all stemmed from insecurities and fears that I held inside. But, so many times, I would turn to God and I'd be like, hey, same thing you were saying, fix me. What am I going crazy? And I'd start to get frustrated because, they say that God will answer in his time, depending on what thought or belief you follow. And it was like, well, man, I'd like to still be alive to enjoy the change. Did you ever find yourself questioning? I guess I'll ask you this. Did the pressure get to a point where you ever considered suicide, or you just wanted to end things, or how was that for you?
Well, that came after. So, and I knew that me telling the world who I was, because I had done such a good job at suppressing it, that I was like, the thought of suicide never came until after. When I told the world, everyone bailed on me, and it felt like I was abandoned. I was this abandoned soul. My family who accepted me didn't feel like my family. I knew them, but they didn't know me. It's the weirdest thing. And they're still getting to know me, and I know them. So I felt really awkward with my family. I felt awkward in my existence, in my skin. I went from owning a business that was thriving, making good money, to not able to get a minimum wage job based on how I looked, my experience. I had no experience. I was a college dropout. I didn't want to do landscaping. That wasn't what I wanted to do. And I owned my own business that was doing well. I felt I was a broken failure without anything. And I wasn't grateful. I was negative. I was in judgment of everyone and everything. I felt like God hated me. I felt like the world hated me. Like I had no place to live or to exist and to be accepted. So there came a point, 5 years ago, where I did want to end it all. The only reason I didn't was because of my kids.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the transformation, and as you started to kind of find your footing and become comfortable with your choice, or it's hard because I'm not in your shoes. It's not really a choice. So I guess your journey, or your decision to finally be you, I think is what I'm looking at. When did things start tipping over for the better? When did you start getting to a good place?
Well, like I said, I had to get to a vulnerability point, and that was hard when I had built such a picture perfect life. I had already built it, and then I lost it all. So I had this mentality of I got this, and I clearly did not got this.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of me going down, 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 down until it was like I clearly do not got this, and I need help. You know, getting to that point, that's a hard point to be pushed to for someone who has pride, who doesn't like to feel weak.
Yeah.
It took a lot of tremendous strength and courage, more strength and courage than it took to tell the world who I truly was, for me to get to a position of I need to get help. I need to ask for someone's guidance, mentorship to teach me how to think, because I'm losing it and I didn't want to end it. So I did find a mentor who got me back in touch with gratitude, who taught me how to focus on my purpose in life, taught me about alpha and beta thoughts and frequencies, and replacing all of my drift thoughts, my negative thinking, my autopilot thoughts with focusing on my purpose in life. And to not stress about the how, but to just know where I'm going, know what I look like in that future, know what it's about, know why, or what lights my soul on fire, why I exist, and to focus on it non-stop without worrying about how I'm going to get there, while at the same time being so grateful for my present, to be able to look around and pick things all around me that I'm grateful for. I remember the first time I did that, I'm in my bedroom, which was also my living room in this crappy townhome, again, bed bug infested. This was my little zone. And I had hated it. You know, I had this 1 acre property in the country with a bonfire pit and a hot tub and all this thing. And I was trapped in this little box and I hated it. And in that moment that I decided to get back to gratitude, the first thing I looked up and I saw a doorknob, the doorknob to my door. I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm grateful for that doorknob. Why am I grateful for that doorknob? Well, my daughters open it every single morning. Cry. Yeah. Every single morning to come into my life and to love me. Yeah. That moment was a big shift for me. It's a big shift for me.
Would you say how long? Because gratitude is one of those things that no matter who I talk to, anybody that has had to overcome a major obstacle or major obstacles in their life, there's always a mention of gratitude. And as I've looked to get to that place, and that's something that I try to practice as well. And nobody's perfect. We're all going to have our bad days. You know, today was a day where it's rainy here, and I just was just kind of lounging most of the day. And then the negative thought would creep in and be like, man, you should be up, you should be doing something. And I'm like, no, my body, I just need to be grateful for this moment, these couple 2-3 hours that I have, that I don't have to worry about anything. I could just relax. But I find it for me, it's a never ending battle, the negative mind versus the positive mind. What's that look like for you? Because, as we talk here, it's easy to, oh man, these people got themselves together. We see on Facebook, hey, but how hard is gratitude a hard battle for you day in and day out? Is it an ongoing thing? Yeah, it used to be.
It was hard to find the gratitude in things, but something I learned about gratitude is accepting your worthiness to receive. Understanding gratitude as that has been a bit of a game changer. I'll say that again. Gratitude is accepting your worthiness to receive. Something that was said to me a year and a half ago was, for me to transcend into my greatness, I must allow for divine intervention. I must allow for divine intervention, for me to be my greatest self. I heard that. I'm like, it sounds so delicious to even say it and think of it. Like, cool line. But I thought about it for months. I had to contemplate on it and ponder it. And what does it mean? How do I do this? How do I really? And the big word that came through it was, I got to surrender. I lived life as if it was some big battle. I was always some fighter. Fight to win, fight to survive, fight for a relationship, fight for my life, everything was a fight. I saw the world as a battlefield, and I was the fighter, and I would never lose. I will always overcome. I will always win. Never give up, never surrender. That was like my mentality. And in this process of the surrender thought, I was like, I'm tired of fighting. I don't want to fight anymore. If I were to have it my way, I'd be as light as a feather blowing in the wind towards my destination, towards my purpose and
Right.
fulfillment, light as a feather.
Hmm.
And I said, I decide. I decide. I'm like, that's the life I want to live. So I'm going to surrender. I'm going to allow the wind to blow me where I want to go. And I'm just going to float there. I'm going to stop trying to forge this path and, fight my way through life. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to float.
Right.
So I decided that I'm going to float. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to float into my greatness. And that shift, that weight, we all get that weight, that pressure, then it gets crushing. It's like we got to carry all this baggage, guilt and shame and feeling of unworthiness and like we're not good enough and all this stuff. It weighs on us. And I wanted to give that all away. Go, just let me float as I am, this feather floating in the wind. And I found myself landing in interesting places. And because I started to do this surrender process, that also requires a butt ton of faith. You can't surrender to the cosmos, to the universe, to God, to whatever you want to surrender to, unless you have tons of faith that you're taken care of, that you are tapped into your instincts, your intuition, and they're going to operate perfectly and get you exactly where you need to be, even if it feels painful, even if you're challenged and you're hitting roadblock after roadblock. You know that once you continue to walk through it, you just step through it, you keep moving forward, and you're going to do the things that get you through it, and God or the universe is going to carry you to the other side. That faith is imperative. How
would you define surrender? Well, now that you've gone through it and you've seen it firsthand, if that was, let's say you just created that word and we all want to know what does it mean to surrender? What is that to you?
It's a release of the need for control with complete faith that you're taken care of.
Yeah.
We're all control freaks.
Right. We all want to, yeah, we are. I see a lot of people, or I've met a lot of people over the years that I've talked to, and you come with, they say, hey, here's where I'm at in my life. I want to change. But they try something once and they're done. They're like, it didn't work. I tried this gratitude thing. I woke up, I was thankful all day long. And I woke up this next day and I still have all the problems. Or the trying to surrender. Yeah, that would be a hard, well, it is a hard thing to do, because I know I had to finally let go. What would you say to those people that they say, well, I've tried everything. I've tried surrendering. I've tried gratitude. I've tried this. I've tried that. It's not working. What would you say to those folks?
Give up the fight.
Yeah. Give up. Okay.
Give up the fight. That's part of the surrender, is like, this need to think that it's all on us. One big thing when it comes to surrender is to basically give your problems that you have no control over to God, and just say, and it's just, bear with me here. I know some people might be listening and go like, come on, really? Like, come on. This comes from a person who's really not religious. I don't go to church. It's not about that. There's much more to this. Like, you're hearing from someone who 3.5 years ago was on welfare in this bed bug ridden place. I now own multiple businesses, make crazy money. Like, pandemic was an incredible year for me financially. I met and married my husband. Like, life is beautiful. So I'm speaking from a place of experience, and these are the things that I did in a place where I was on the brink of destruction. I wasn't happy. I didn't have anything to go home and brag about. My life was in shambles. I had to surrender. I had to stop doing what I was doing and do something different. If you want your world to change, you must change. So try something different and give up the fight.
Yeah. So when somebody surrenders and they give it all over to, the universe, to God, whatever it is for them, we all have our own different beliefs, and so what? Just substitute, as we say, God, because I'm a man of faith.
I'm with God.
Yeah, we can say God, or but whoever's listening, just, if that's not your word, cross that out and put universe or whatever. I don't want anybody that's listening to get caught up with
The lingo.
formalities. Yeah, the lingo. So whatever God is to you, and so as you letting go, and I guess where I'm going with this question is, if you let go, you give up the fight, and you just float, right? How you're saying, just kind of float. That's pretty scary to think, like, you don't know what's going to happen next, and you don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to be, or maybe you thought, hey, I'm going to be this big shot in the medical profession. What if floating takes you away from that? I mean, that could be very, very scary and a deterrent for a lot of people.
Well, we live in the what if world.
Yeah,
our minds are what ifing all day long. What if this goes wrong? What if this goes right? That's the problem. Not many people think, what if it goes right? We're stuck in the what if it goes wrong. And we build up all of this imaginary situation. What if I float the wrong way? What if this stops me? What if I run into a bad person and what if they stab me in the back? What if we live there? Right. Check your mind, check your thoughts. If you are constantly creating these scenarios where you are assuming the worst, where you think something's going to go wrong, you will create it. You'll continue to create it over and over and over until you understand that you create what you think about. So if you're surrendering all the problems, then you stop having this need to try and solve them. And when you're stuck trying to solve problems, you're constantly asking, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if I get stuck here? And if you're living in that, you're creating more of it. If you're asking what's wrong with something instead of what's the solution, this is the difference, being focused on the problem or focused on the solution, the end game, the where you want to go. If you focus on where you want to go, problems tend to just solve themselves. Right. A lot of us who watching here can look back on their lives and think there are many moments where the problem just solved itself. And I thought I had to do all these things. I made all these assumptions, and it really just, the trash took itself out and the problem just solved itself. And something I thought was a problem turned out to be a blessing. How many times have you experienced that? Something you thought was really just the worst thing ended up becoming a blessing. That happens all the time. But we're stuck fighting, and trying to control everything. As a control freak, we have like this plan. It's like this big plan of ours. And when something doesn't go to plan, we get stressed out because we didn't have control. We're losing our control and we feel it, and it's frustrating. When you give up that need for control and having this big plan, then when something doesn't go to plan, you're not stressed out. For me, one big thing that helped, here's like a strategy, is to speak with future you. First of all, you got to know who future you is. If you don't know who future you is, you don't know where you're going. So you're not going to get there. So get to know future you. Future you might dress differently. Future you might talk differently, walk differently, have a different presence, speak with ferocity. Like, I had to learn who I was to become who I wanted to be. And who I wanted to become was this powerhouse businesswoman. And when I visualized her, I saw a different version of myself. And now I knew who I had to become today, because now I knew who I was becoming. And future me said this: I made it. So don't worry. Everything that you go through between point A and point B has to happen. None of it means you're in the wrong place. None of it means it's going to stop you. All you got to do is go through it. Just walk, take one step at a time, move yourself through it, and you will get here. I'm the proof. I'm telling you, you made it. Trust it. Don't let the stress of all the little things on the way stop you. Don't let it stop you. Just move through it and you'll be fine.
As you were talking, I kind of had this vision pop in my head of the ocean. And, they tell you, or at least I've been told in the past, if you're out there swimming and you feel the ocean current pulling you under, you're not supposed to fight, right? You're not supposed to kick, scream, you're supposed to relax and not, not go against the current. And I kept just visualizing that, where so many of us were out in that ocean and we start feeling it kind of pulling us back, and we get scared and we panic and we start swimming against the power of the current, and it just wears us out to eventually the point it pulls us under. As to where if we just kind of relaxed and went with the flow, it might take us down the beach a little bit and we maybe have to walk back, but you're going to get there and you're going to be able to stand up and carry on. So
I
yeah,
had like a little breakthrough with water. So once I started to finally catch my stride and become a little bit successful, every time I got stressed out, I would go to this spa. It was an outdoor spa, and there was some like awesome hot tubs and saunas and steam rooms. And I went in a hot tub, and I go to this place myself to recharge. And I go and I sit down in the quiet zone where you can't talk, you can just whisper. And I'm sitting in the hot tub, and it's so peaceful, and I'm just trying to kind of like meditate into it. And I hear people come in who are not whispering, and they're making splashes. So in this moment where I was so calm, I started to feel the splash. My eyes are closed. I'm feeling this going on. And I'm like, I try and resist. I felt this resist, and I got back into fighting mode. And this was a huge breakthrough for me because I was like, it felt so uncomfortable. And I was like, you're fighting, relax. And I relaxed. And I just was going with the waves, and I felt the waves, but they didn't feel disruptive anymore. Now it felt like flow. I felt like, I'm okay. Instead of this fighting and resisting of the waves, I was flowing with them, and it felt good. And I was okay. I had this breakthrough, and I was like, I gotta stop resisting. Just go with it. Don't go against it. Go with it. If you're being pulled in a direction, ask why. Why am I here? What's trying to show? A question I love to ask is, what is God's intention right now? There's an intention behind this. What lesson do I need to learn? What do I need to be seeing? What do I need to be present with? Who do I need to be speaking to right now? Who do I need to connect with? Who needs love? Instead of resisting and fighting and saying, this is so bad, run from it. Go with it.
Yeah, I don't believe in any accidents in this world. I think everything happens for a reason. Now, can we alter? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not. I don't have all the answers, but we can certainly feel like we're changing ourselves and getting better. But ultimately, we can't determine. We can only control ourselves. We can't control other people. So bad things happen to good people all the time, and it's because there's only so much we can control within our own lives, and then the rest we kind of have to go with that flow and that ripple effect and just kind of swirl around with it. So a lot of folks are going to, let me think of my question. The question what I want to ask you is, so bad things happen. How long do you hold on to them? How long do you remember? I'm not saying hold on to them as in, mad or, with the victim mindset, but do you carry those wounds with you all throughout your life as gentle reminders? Or do you just say, you know what, the past is the past. I can't live there. All is forgotten. All is forgiven. What's your opinion on that?
Well, remember that word gratitude?
Gratitude's
the key. It's the key. If you go through something, someone stabs you in the back, someone cheats on you, someone hurts you, an accident happens, something happens in the world that causes you pain or trauma, a question to ask is, why are you grateful for it? Gratitude accepts your worthiness to receive. If you want to grow, you want to become a better version of yourself and level up, think different, move stronger, faster, harder, all that stuff, you need to receive lessons. You need to receive growth. You need to expand. And the only way to do that is to receive. So if you're grateful for something, you can see what it is that you're going to receive from it. So any situation has something to teach you, something to grow you, something to prepare you, something to challenge you so that you can expand from your current bubble into the next level. So if you're able to ask why you're grateful for something, you're going to come up with answers. We're stuck on our old programming. A lot of us don't even realize that our autopilot thoughts that keep playing over and over are extremely disempowering. When you ask what's wrong with something, that's disempowering. Instead, you can ask something like, why am I grateful for this? And what lesson am I trying to learn so that I can overcome it? Those are very different questions. When you start to receive lessons quicker, you start to grow quicker. This is rapid transformation. It's a shortcut to breakthroughs by asking questions. I call them the magic questions, like, why am I grateful for this? Why have I been blessed with the skills and talents to overcome this challenge? You ask that question, the answer to the problem shows up. How amazing is that? See, we're stuck on the old programming since birth, and it's not your fault. It's not. This is something that I've been blown away with. Over 96% of people who get involved in personal development, start reading the books, going to events, hiring the coaches like me, fail at whatever they're trying to accomplish. Finding a soulmate, becoming a millionaire, being able to have your freedom. Why is it that 96% of people in personal development fail at their efforts? It's because they're still thinking the same way as the way that created the problem. Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created the problem. So it doesn't matter how much information you take in. If you're still thinking the same way, you're not solving anything. So one thing I've learned on how to think differently, how out of the box thinkers think, is by asking themselves different questions. We have this thing called ego that a lot of people think is a bad thing. Ego is such a bad thing. What I've learned about ego is it's not good or bad. It's neither. What it is it's something that is designed for us to be right. It makes us right. You ask it a question, it'll give you an answer. You ask, what's wrong with me? It'll give you an answer, even if it's complete BS. Has nothing to do with logic, has nothing to do with emotion. All it is designed to make you right. Yeah. So how do we harness that? By asking your ego questions that allow it to come up with empowered answers. Yeah. It's incredible what that can do. And I've done it in my coaching practice, and it is the shortcut to breakthrough.
Does the ego, so you hear a lot of folks talk about the subconscious mind. Does the ego reside into that subconscious mind, or do you look at those as a little different, two different subjects?
Well, because it's not logic, because when you think mind and consciousness, awakeness, it's like logical calculations. You ask a question, it's like, well, if X equals Y and Y equals Z, then X equals Z. And if there's a variable, so you start adding and subtracting and assuming and putting interpretations. But the ego, it just has answers. It's not thinking about anything. So yeah, I feel like that's subconscious or something completely different that we're not fully understanding of. But when you ask it something, it just has an answer. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to calculate anything. You don't have to even feel it because it's not emotional either. It's just there. This is why so many people, when they ask what's wrong with me, come up with all kinds of crazy answers. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too big. I'm too small. I'm too this. It just comes up with answers just to make us right.
Right. Let me throw this out at you, because as we're talking about ego, I'm thinking about Facebook, and if anybody watches this and you feel like I'm picking on you, I rest assured I'm not picking on anybody. All right. This is a thought, because I see it on Facebook, and one of the things I like to say is everybody becomes a self-help expert when they're going through suffering. And you see that on Facebook. So somebody goes through a breakup, and the next thing you know is you see posts of them, how they're going to excel and rise above. But then you see them, the woe is me, I was surrounded, as I think of ego, I feel like where you want to go, but you're also still thinking about what happened to you and wanting to share that out. I know it's a release, because when I was going through depression, I had to force myself not to post on Facebook, because you want to just scream. You want to scream to the world and be like, but I feel a lot of folks do more damage than good to themselves when they live in that state of, okay, something bad just happened, so here we are. I want to go here, but I'm going to make sure everybody remembers what happened to me for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then eventually, what new relationship or new job or something happens. And then all that goes away because life is good again. What would you say to, folks that use social media as an outlet to heal?
Hey, if it works, then go for it. Who cares what others think of it?
Okay. Yeah.
So you got to do what you got to do. If you need to express yourself and that's the way you want to do it, then express yourself. You might lose some friends over it. As long as you're okay with that, do you, boo-boo? If you got it, if you got to express yourself on Facebook, and sometimes people recognize a cry for help mask behind everything is great, and that could be a way that you connect with someone. And then for others, it's like you really don't want to do that, and that's cool too. Something else I've really embraced is that there is no good or bad or right or wrong. There's just another situation, and how it ends up can end up so many different ways. A lot of people will say 9/11 was so bad, but what did it do for the world instead of to the world? Yeah, there was a lot of loss, but in that loss, there was also creation and growth and love and connection. And is that growth, love, connection, all that, is that good? Who knows? Because maybe some of that led to something that others would deem as bad. So every good and bad is fluid. It's like a judgment and interpretation. There is no good or bad. So the way we operate, the way we talk to people and connect and stuff, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just another way to do it. That's my look on it.
No, that's great, because if you think about the forest burns every year. There's a big forest fire, right? And it burns and burns, but then it all regrows. It's a necessary component of creation, that sometimes you have to let the old burn in order to blossom the new flowers and trees. And so I really like your message about kind of reframing that question. How are you asking those questions? So something bad happens to you, don't ask, why did this happen to me? Ask, okay, this happened for a reason. How am I going to grow? That's what you're saying?
Why am I grateful for it? Why do I love that this is happening? What does it look like for me to overcome this powerfully? There's another good question. What does it look like for me to overcome this powerfully? What does it look like for me to step up and to be able to handle any challenge that's thrown my way with grace and dignity? There's so many better questions that you can ask yourself that will lead to the result you actually want, instead of the focus on the misery. If you focus on misery, you're going to get more misery.
Right. So let's segue a little bit into away from the bad, and now start looking at the good. So over the last what you said, been about 6 or 7 years. How has it all blossomed for you? Because you've got a lot going on. So why don't we share out a little bit about who you became after the forest burn?
Yeah. Well, once it burned, there was a lot of new growth, and I started to step into who I truly was. Once I stopped this act, I was able to breathe again and have peace in my mind, and to just show up and not have to think about what I was saying. So now I was able to live effortlessly. Like right now, it's not like I'm thinking about what I'm saying. I'm just saying it. It's just it comes off, it comes out. I don't have to think about it. And so in that, I've been able to express myself and who I am. And the more vulnerable I've become, the more people were awed by my story, by my authenticity, me showing up. Like the way you found me was me just being completely authentic in my diverse self, which means all versions of me firing on all cylinders without me undervaluing a side of me. We have thousands of versions of us. A lot of them we would give ourselves a high five. Oh, the confident side, yeah, the creative side, yeah, awesome. The excited, the partier, the da-da-da-da, you get, and then there's the other ones in the corner, like, oh, there's the sad version, the insecure version, the aggressive version, the antisocial version. And we're like, oh, go away already. I don't want you. Once I started to value all versions of myself and say, hey, you all bring something to the table. You all have value in my life. I started to show up more diversely, and more opportunities came to me. More people wanted to connect with me. The more people are the game, guys. People are the game. You want to win at life? Win at people. Connect with more people, love on more people. How can you love more people today? How can you get to know more people today? The more people you can connect with, the more opportunity there is for you, the more love there is for you, the more connection and joy there is for you. That changed my life. Being able to share who I truly was authentically without caring who would judge me. I just wanted to show up. And as I showed up, other people showed up into my life and started to elevate me. And we all elevate each other. And opportunities came. I became a top network marketer. I was in network marketing throughout the past 13 years. And in the 9 years of me doing it in my old self, I failed. I think in that 9 years, I probably made $2,500, $3,000. People questioning my sanity. Why are you still doing this?
Right.
Well, the past 3, 4 years, I've made close to $1 million, something like that.
Oh, wow.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's when you
Yeah.
start to value all versions of yourself, and you just show up authentically, and you start to connect with people because you love people, not because they're a dollar sign, not because you can possibly get a sale out of them, possibly
Right.
sell them a product. Connecting with people genuinely because you love that people all bring something to the table, just like all versions of you bring something to the table.
Right.
And get to know what it is that they bring to the table. And next thing you know, you'll find the reason why they're there, the reason why you're there for them, why they can use your help and why you can use their help and why you can each elevate each other. So in this time of me connecting with people, I've been on podcasts. I've written my book Authentically. It became a #1 bestseller, Not Born This Way. I've become I was invited to be a master distributor of a crypto mining MLM, and crypto was new to me, but I got in it with trust and faith, and I said, my soul's being called here, so I just got to do it. And I've made crazy money with it, crazy connections. I've helped a lot of people with it. It's been an incredible journey. I started coaching people a couple years back, and everyone I'm coaching is just elevating their lives and having massive breakthroughs. And in that, I've realized about the ego hacking and the magic questions, and now I'm launching a massive movement and program dedicated to teaching people how to ask those proper questions, why they work, how your ego works. And it has been leading into something so magical, and I'm surrounded by miracles. I'm married to my soulmate. I have sole custody of my kids. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm an incredible mother. I've been able to take them to Disney World, been able to empower their growth. They're now investing in crypto when they're 6 and 7.
Oh, wow.
They have investment portfolios. So I'm living a very empowered life because I started to connect with more people with love and genuine relationships, unconditional love, and just finding how can I love on more people, be unconditional, not judge so many people, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're not inherently evil. I think a lot of people are like, people are evil and they're bad and they're wrong and they're this, and that's just them judging. Gotta get out of that judgment mode and this victim mentality, because
Right.
all the people who are in your life, they're there for a reason. They're meant to teach you things, give you value in ways you aren't sure you know about. Could be a lesson, could be this person who hurt you was meant to show you what people can be capable of. So to be careful and watch for it, not be gullible. To also give you a reason to do soul searching. There's so many reasons why someone's in your field without you needing to judge them for being human.
Yeah. I think it's so important. Two things for me, speaking from my personal experience, the day I decided to get vulnerable, and not because for years I didn't talk about what happened to me as a kid. I didn't talk about it. It's not because I felt like, the emotional abuse would create a stigma, because I mean we all meet people that don't treat us very nice, but I didn't do it because I didn't want to hurt others. I don't want to bring that up, because then I'm putting the spotlight on the people that did this to me, and I don't know if that was a kind of still a bit of fear, like they still had some control because I wouldn't put that out there. But the day I finally became vulnerable and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna let it go and let it be out there. So much has opened up, so many different opportunities, and I've grown in amazing ways that I would have never expected. But then when you get vulnerable and you just let go of imperfection, then I think the next step is you realize, at least for me, and you can, by all means, if you disagree, let me know. But I think the meaning of life, the purpose of life, is to live selflessly, not selfishly, selflessly. Like, don't live for yourself. We all want nice cars, nice houses, this and that. But if you just truly put forth the effort to be there for how can you enhance somebody else's life, and you allow yourself to be emotional or vulnerable, then not only are you going to grow, but everybody that comes in contact with you, they're going to grow. Would you agree with that? I mean, that statement that the life is really about letting go of yourself and focusing on the others.
So what you said right at the end, it's going to grow you and grow them. My thought on the meaning of life is growth. I think that we are here to grow, to evolve our consciousness, our connections, our love. So in our selflessness, grow in our selflessness and understand why we're selfless. You know, why we're giving. We're giving to receive and receiving to give. Both are the equal. They're synonymous with each other. And a lot of people have a hard time receiving. So being selfless is great as long as you can still receive. When you create that connection, that flow, you create a flow, a circuitry. You open. It's a closed circuit. I'm not an electrician, but you know, you don't break the circuit, giving and receiving. So for me, it really is about how can we grow into more love, more connection, more of everything. That to me has been a big thing for me in my love and my selflessness, my givingness, my receivingness. To really know that it's about growing into it, evolving into it, and stepping into it. So you know, you literally closed out your statement with that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old spoke and wheel analogy. You know, every spoke has a purpose for that wheel. It keeps the bike riding smoothly, and you're going to give and you're going to take, you know, as you go. And I think, you know, it's definitely, don't focus on the taking, because if all you're worried about, in my opinion, is money, I want to get rich, believe me, I did that for years, where I just like, I'm going to be rich. And the more you focus on the selfishness part of it, like, hey, I'm going to be rich so that I can live like this, it seems like the harder it is to accomplish. But when you say, hey, I just want to give value, I want to share to everyone and everything, I think, you know, receiving money or whatever it is, that's just part of the ebb and flow, right? You give, you're going to receive. And I suppose if you're around somebody that, you know, is always taking, I think of buckets, you know, we all have these buckets, and we need to keep our buckets filled, because I tell people all the time, you've got to work on yourself. Like, it's not selfish. It's not selfish to wake up and say, I've got to work on me today, because the better that you are, the better it is going to be for those you interact with, because, you know, you're going to have the energy and the strength to give back. So
it's all about balance, right? You know, everything needs to be balanced. If you're just giving, if that's all you do, give, and you don't receive, you know, say no to receiving. I don't need to receive. You just keep it. You are taking from them. You're taking from someone. You're taking an experience. How good does it feel to give to somebody? Well, when someone wants to give to you and you say no, you're taking away that experience from them. So, and if all you do is receive and you don't give, then it turns into taking instead of receiving, and then you're being selfish. So both ends of the spectrum are not healthy. So if you're able to do both with balance, give, receive, give, receive, give, receive, you know, give to charities, receive help. You know, it doesn't always have to look like money, but receiving support, receiving help, receiving feedback, advice, receiving, being open to the receive as well as the giving. So I find that a good balance is really what can keep you healthy in your mental state and in your life.
Let's talk a little bit about your book. Now, you have Not Born This Way, but you wrote a second book, right? As well,
I co-authored a book called 20 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Tell-All.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about Not Born This Way. What was your motivation behind that book, and what if somebody wanted to go pick that up and read it, what can they expect to gain from it?
You know, I spent a lot of my life defining myself by my current situation or my past situation. instead of defining myself by who I was becoming, I was defining myself by my past limitations, my disadvantages, what had happened to me, my victimness, and I kind of owned it. Like, this is who I am. I am who you're looking at right now, instead of defining myself by who I'm becoming, and seeing myself as someone I was becoming, growing into. And that big shift is mainly what the book is about. It's about, me being stuck and growing through this crazy life where I did a lot of crazy things, and to finally realize that, hey, I am becoming something so much bigger than this.
Right.
I was not born this way. I was born this way, but I was not born the way I wanted to become. So I decided to dictate who I was becoming. And in that, it was a crazy journey. There was abuse and violence and drugs and broken laws and all kinds of things that, a lot of people end up going through in their life, but maybe not overcoming. Right. And the way I overcame it was by redefining who I was becoming. And in that, I'm a coach. So as I was writing it, every chapter is ended with like an insight, a lesson of what I learned from this situation that can apply to anybody's life. And in the end of it, it's like all of the shifts combined and turned into this understanding of enlightenment, awareness, expanded perspective, and how we live to give and receive to other people, to grow and connect with others. So it is a life story, but really it is about how can you shift from where you are to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. What else do you got? I just looked at the time. I can't believe we've been talking for over an hour already. It's time has this conversation's flown by. It's been so enlightening and insightful for me, and I always love it when somebody gets my mind spinning, because I get all these ideas. We're sitting here talking, and I'm trying to.
You just go on and on and on, right?
Yeah, and my brain is just moving at 1,000 miles a minute with different. So we could probably sit here and talk for hours and hours again. But I don't know if I'm at that Joe Rogan level where I could do a 3-hour podcast yet. That's I can't even listen for 3 hours. But let's. I want to give you the floor for the next however long. What you've got something coming up big, you're releasing. Let's just talk about you, what you've got going. If somebody's listening to this and they say, hey, I want to reach out, I want to connect with her, let's put that out there. How can people find you?
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook. You look up Sara Weiss, Weiss. I'm the Sass Boss, and I've created this program. I have an inner circle coaching program, and I coach people one-on-one, but I'm realizing that there needs to be a shift in the coaching arena and the personal development arena. So I'm starting to teach people these magic questions, the ego hacking, and I've actually started to certify coaches on how to do this, to give people that shortcut to breakthroughs. And it's a funny goal that I have, and it seems very counterintuitive, but I want to teach people how to not need a coach coming from a coach. So the program I'm developing is to certify coaches to be able to teach this in a way that anyone who's being taught can learn how to teach it as well, so that I can duplicate this throughout society, so that this can change the world. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to have my first ever webinar talking to the world about it. So a few people will hop on, and I'll just share that I'm creating this program where you can either be an empowered learner or an empowered earner, and learn how to teach this and get paid in my platform to teach it. Even if you are an existing coach or not an existing coach and you want to learn this stuff, I can teach it to you in a way that you'll be able to actually pass it off to others and teach them in a way that they'll be able to do the same.
Very cool. So it's kind of like I can't remember the quote, but I heard it somewhere a long time ago, where if you can put yourself out of a job, you're doing something right. Is kind of what I heard. Because then that, like you said, you're teaching others to become greater selves, greater versions of themselves, and to teach others. And while that may maybe you're teaching yourself out of a job, that just opens more doors for the next opportunity for you. So it's not like that's a bad thing. Automation, that's what they call it in the corporate world, right? Automation, automate everything.
I imagine a world where we have very evolved consciousness. It's great to have all the technology evolving and cars evolving and all these other things externally evolving. We need to evolve quicker. because we can, not because we need to, but because we can. People have ideas all the time and don't think they're significant because it came from them, and they don't think they're significant. The program I am creating is called Empowered Life, because I want to empower people to recognize their skills, their greatness, not think that it's not a big deal because it's coming from them and they think they're not a big deal. When I empower someone, all of a sudden greatness starts to show up. When I have belief in someone, I remember someone who reached out to me on Facebook. They saw me post or do a live, and they messaged me, and there was this message. And then the next message was, "Oh my gosh, I just checked out your profile. I'm so sorry for taking up your time. I'm not worthy of your time." I'm like, oh my gosh, that, and I had a conversation with him, and in the conversation, I was like, you have so much to believe in. I believe in you, and I wish you could believe in what I see. You've got, and I just started pointing at what I saw in a short conversation. What happened with that guy, and this was just by believing him. This wasn't even asking all the magic. Actually, I asked a couple magic questions, but believing in him alone empowered the heck out of him. And I connected with him on Facebook, and he is rocking and rolling. He's a rock star at life right now. Yeah. And he gives me kudos all the time for believing in him. And I was a stranger.
Right. And sometimes I guess that's all it really takes is for somebody to believe in you. I mean, this, well, I a little bit, with this podcast, I mean, I started it because that's what I was looking for. I was going through depression and anxiety, and I was, I lost 2 years of my life, and I just kept looking. I just wanted somebody to tell me it was going to be okay, that I wasn't going crazy. And when I couldn't find that, I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to start a podcast, and I'll do it my damn self. And it's kind of morphed. This thing is morphed into something totally different, to where I'm having folks like you on and just telling your stories. There's so much power in our stories, good, bad, however you say your life's been. You could take that and you're going to, all the bad stuff, all the things that hurt you, that's something to give out, give that away, share your story, be vulnerable, and change lives. And I definitely see you doing that. I see you in that Facebook group. I enjoy watching your lives, and so much energy when you come on the camera, and I can see that in the comments, and as people jump in and watch, they can feel it too. So very good. And you have a website. We'll make sure we have all your links and everything in the descriptions, both for this live stream as well as when we get it to the podcast. We launch it on Podbean. So any final words of wisdom you'd like to leave everybody with before we go? There you go. I was waiting for it.
There it is. Don't worry about being perfect, guys. Just show up. Just show up, and don't worry about who's going to judge you, because they're going to judge you anyway. So if you got to show up looking like me, do it and allow them to judge you, and don't let it bother you, because even if you show up perfectly, someone's going to judge you for it. Just show up. Yeah. That is like 80% of the battle. I don't even like thinking of something as a battle, but when you show up and you're authentic, even if you're scared shitless, just show up. And when you're there, guess what? People are the game. You're now connecting with people. Now people feel you. They see you. They feel your energy. They get to know who you truly are, and you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find people who relate with you, just like me and Brian have found each other. We're each other's tribe. That's why I'm here. That's why he's here, because I showed up. And in doing that, I was judged. There were people who commented on my hair. That's why that is a thing now.
Yeah.
Someone commented and said, why don't you brush your hair? Like, do you not care about what you look like? And next day, I did a live like that. That's how much.
So here's the amazing thing about it. You said you were judged for your hair, and what you did. I mean, this is how she starts all of her lives. She comes on, and that is what I saw that, and I'm like, I got to get to know this person like this. So for where somebody may say, oh, they judge you for it. It's like it was totally opposite for me, where I'm like, wait a minute, what is this craziness? Somebody's coming on the camera with their hair messed up. Like, how can this be? And so, but yeah, it's just I enjoy it. It's I see you do it, and it's just like, it gives me confidence to keep going out and just being that perfectly imperfect version of myself. So, well, hey, Sarah, I appreciate your time, and it's been a great conversation, and we're definitely going to stay in touch. I plan on checking out some of these things you've got going on, and
You want to meet
I'm
my
sure
husband?
Sure, is the husband there? Let's bring him on.
He just walked by. He's
Like, forget that. He says, I think I saw one of your kids walk by earlier too. But anyways, so all right. Well, it's been great having you on. I want you to hang out. We're going to have a little private conversation after we go offline that nobody else gets to be a part of. But it's just really about talking about what we just talked about here for the last hour and 10 minutes. So thank you, and we will talk again very soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Such a great honor and pleasure to be here.
Yeah, make sure you go check out her website. She's got, or find her on Facebook. She's got a lot of great insights, and you'd be remiss not to check it out. So we'll see you.